my title is Time Management God's Way. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:33. Think about what the greatest stressors are in your life today. How many people in here feel like they're overloaded a lot of the time? Just have more to do than you can possibly get done.
Amen. Yep.
And that goes for at home, at work, if you're in school, you have to add that to it, then church, maybe a combination of everything, but you have a lot of different things and a lot of people wanting something. And then you get behind schedule and you're running late and you get stopped by a traffic light, you get stuck behind somebody driving 20 mile an hour under the speed limit and you can't get around them. That's my almost everyday experience when I leave from work. And then I contend with I-35, which is in gridlock most of the time. So thank God for cell phones and teleconferences. I'm on teleconferences all day, but I have a lot of them that will start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and invariably I'm stuck on I-35 at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I just call in from my car and do it while I drive. But then you think you get home, then you still have to make something to eat, and if you have kids, you got to get them homework done, get them ready for school the next day, or if they're in activities, you have activities that you got to deal with, and then you have a friend that calls and says, why don't we have lunch sometime? And all you can think of is, when am I going to fit that in?
All right.
And a lot of this has to do with time management.
Right.
Now, sometimes there's just so much that no matter what, you can't get it all done, but it deals, a lot of it is with time management and dealing with how you use your time every day. And everyone has the same amount.
Right.
Time is fair. Everybody has the same amount. And it seems like the clock is our enemy. I told my mother, when I retire, I'm not having a clock in my house. But time keeps rolling on, and the key to it is time management, but there's a catch to that. Time management takes work.
Right.
And it takes a lot of work. And you have, in order to be successful at it, you have to put in work.
Right.
And today I'm going to address the 5 key principles of time management. The first one is set priorities.
Okay.
You cannot be effective in time management unless you set priorities. Now, I ran into a guy in the hall at work the other day, and most of the people in the agency I work in are way overstressed. We're on a presidential directed hiring freeze right now, but for the last 2 years or more, they've been on a self-imposed hiring freeze. So we have had tons of people retire or leave, and the hiring has not kept up, but the workload hasn't slowed down. So everybody's just being told, do more, do more, do more. And
Less horses.
he said last year he worked 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. He had to give back. He had to leave vacation time because he couldn't use it. He has 300 and some hours of comp time that he hasn't been able to use. And he told them, he said, I'm not doing it this year. 2 members of their team have had heart attacks because of the stress levels.
Oh, no.
And it stresses you to endlessly. And so they said you prioritize your work, and then they come down and say, well, this is a priority. He said if everything's a priority, then nothing is. And that's true. So you have to set priorities and figure out, what do I need to get done first, second, third, what can wait, what has to be done, and move ahead. And there was an example of a physics teacher who gave his students a mason jar, one of those ones like you use for canning. And he gave them each he gave them 5 big rocks, a handful of marbles, a container of sand, and a glass of water. And he told them they had 15 seconds to fit that all into the jar. He had a stopwatch. He told them to go. He told them to stop. And they didn't manage to fit everything into the jar. And they were saying, well, this is impossible to do. And he said, no, it's not. You just have to do it in the right order. And then he proceeded to show them that the order, put the big rocks in first, and then the marbles, and then the sand, and the sand will fall down and settle into the marbles settle into the bigger spots, the sand settles into the smaller spots, and then you put the water in last, and it all fits. So it has to do with what order that you put the stuff in the jar. And the same is with setting priorities. If you set your priorities, you can get a lot more done than if you don't have them.
Right.
This is, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Matthew 6:33. And Jesus is saying we need to set priorities in life. And time management, number 1 priority is to set priorities.
All right.
The second principle is to build relationships. And Jesus set this principle when he was asked, teacher, which command in the law is the greatest? He said to him, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important command. The second is just like it is love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets depend on these 2 commands. And that's from Matthew 22:36-40. So Jesus is telling us that we have 2 important relationships that we need to deal with. Our relationship with the Heavenly Father and our relationship with other people.
Right.
And you will find that you get a lot done through relationships.
Right.
You get a lot more done through relationships, especially when you're in a work environment, but even at home, than you do by just trying to tell people what they need to do. If someone doesn't like you, they can find all kinds of ways to keep you from getting something done. and they really, truly can. So the best thing you can do is to work on your relationships with other people. And also, relationships last. Things don't. I mean, you may run out of money, your possessions may get stolen, destroyed, whatever. All that stuff can be gone. But your relationships will last if you work at them.
Right.
And this is one thing that I have had an issue with, especially ever since I've been working in Fort Worth. Once I started working in Fort Worth, I didn't have time to have relationships with anybody. I lost touch with all the people I used to spend time in my bush with because I did not have time. Even at work, I don't have time to have lunch with anybody. We have meetings that cross the whole United States, so when do they get scheduled for people in the Central Time Zone? Over your lunch hours, because that's when they can match up the East Coast and the West Coast.
All right.
So most days, by the time I get a break and get to eat lunch, it's usually 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Who else is eating lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Nobody. Either that or I'm eating while I'm on a teleconference, so it does get extremely frustrating, and you get rid of a lot of stress that way just by spending some time doing something else. Spending time having lunch with a person and talking to them. And so your relationships are going to last, hopefully, if you have time to work, make time to work at them. And your relationship with God is of vital importance. You definitely need to take care of that relationship, because where you spend eternity is going to be based on your relationship with God.
Right.
So you definitely need to make time for that. The third element, or the third item of good time management, is to take time to plan.
Right.
How many people plan to be here today? You didn't just wake up and think, well, what am I going to do today? You know, you thought about it all week. You plan to be there. And you need to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. You know, and we hear it all the time, you know, you need to plan for like natural disasters and stuff. In this area, it's mainly tornadoes. It could be floods. But you need to have some type of plan. If you've taken time to plan out something, and especially if you have kids and you've worked through that with them, they're going to know more of what to do in that case, or even in the event of a fire. Like we were talking to the kids one time, what to do in the event the house caught on fire. Well, they kind of got scared. But you really need to have a plan in that case of what you're going to do, because if you haven't planned, you're going to waste a lot of precious time if that happens. So you just need to be ready and plan. And as it says, plan, hope for the best and plan for the worst. And Jesus said, "For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'" And that comes from Luke 14:28-30. And planning can help with all aspects of your life. It can help with your work life. What do I need to get done and by when, and put it in order. At home, what do I need to do? When does it need to be done by? Make a plan and stick to it as best you can. You can adjust. You can adjust your plans. The plans of the diligent certainly lead to profit, but anyone who is reckless certainly becomes poor. And that's from Proverbs 21:5.
All right.
And another one, Proverbs 21:5, careful planning puts you ahead in the long run, hurry and scurry puts you further behind. And that's true, because then you tend to forget stuff, you make mistakes, you wind up taking longer than you would have taken if you had made a plan.
Amen.
Right.
Then you need to take time to organize.
Right.
And this is one thing that can get extremely frustrating.
Yes, sure can.
Because in order to stay organized, you got to put a little time into that. And my problem is I don't do that. So I'll spend 20 minutes looking for my keys. Because I put them somewhere and I can't remember where I put them. Or if you're working on something and you get up and you walk away and you come back and you can't find something, and you think, I haven't been anywhere but these two rooms, where could it be? And you just spend time again looking for stuff. And then rebuying stuff. Now that's one thing that also irritates me when I do it, because I know I bought it, or at least I think I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't find it for nothing. So it does get it, and I can't tell you how many cards I have bought to send to people. I got a whole stack of unsent cards because I buy them and then I set them somewhere, and then I never do get around to putting them in the mail. So I have a whole stack. I've been collecting them up so I can just put them somewhere so next time it comes around I can send them. But you spend a lot of time looking for stuff that if you were more organized, you wouldn't necessarily have to do that.
Amen.
It says, imagine a woman who has 10 coins and loses one. Won't she light a lamp and scour the house, looking in every nook and cranny until she finds it? And when she finds it, you can be sure she'll call her friends and neighbors. Celebrate with me, I found my lost coin. And that's from Luke 15:8-10. And think about it this way. God's angels throw a party every time one lost soul turns to God. So we need to really work on being organized. And same thing if you have files on your computer. You need to name them things that you can relate it back to, because otherwise you may never find them, and then you have to recreate it. So label things and come up with a system of organization that works for you.
Yeah.
You can't have somebody else do your organization, because you may not operate the same way as somebody else.
That's right.
And Herman couldn't figure out one time why I got upset. We were in Pennsylvania, and AJ and his wife, this was his first wife, I don't remember if they were staying at our house or if they were just coming by to take care of the animals, but they took it upon themselves to reorganize all my kitchen cabinets. And boy, did that irritate me, and he couldn't see why that bothered me. Well, I had this stuff where I wanted it in the kitchen cabinet, so I knew where to find it. And since I'm the one that has to put it all away all the time and get it out, I should know where it's at.
Right.
So you have to have your own system of being what works for you, how you do things. And the fifth principle here is be flexible.
Right.
And that's a key item, because have you ever been around somebody who the minute one little thing doesn't work out, they are just in a tizzy? I mean, I worked with one person that you would swear he was about to have a stroke every time some little thing didn't work. And you just have to be flexible, because there's a whole lot of things you have no control over.
Amen.
You can plan as much as you want, you can organize as much as you want, but sometimes things just aren't going to work.
Right.
And so you just need to learn to be flexible.
All right.
And the Puritans would make elaborate plans. They would outline their whole lives and plan for what they hoped to do, and they would set goals and really work at that. But then they would always end that by saying, God willing. Because God still is the one that's in control. It doesn't matter what plans you make. If that's not part of God's will, that may not be what you're going to do. But you do need to take some time to have a plan.
Right.
And have a plan and set a goal. If you don't ever set a goal, you don't have any clue what you're aiming for. You're just going through the motions and getting by day. But you need to have a goal. What is your end goal? And then strive to get there. Make your plans to get there.
Yes,
and if you do that, you're much more likely to actually meet that goal.
Right.
So today I talked about the key principles of time management God's way. First off, set priorities.
Yes.
Build relationships. Relationships are going to come a long way in helping you get to where you're going. Take time to plan. You need to watch who you make enemies of. And I don't know about the regular workday world where, I just know how it is if you work for the military. If you're in the military or you're in the work for the government, you can go in one day and have a coworker, and maybe you didn't get along with that coworker, whatever the case may be, you could show up the next day and they could be your boss.
That's right.
You really need to work on the relationships, even if they're not your favorite people. Again, take time to plan, take time to organize, and organizing does take time. And it's hard to cut out the time you need to do that, and I know I'm trying to get that done now, and it's hard. By the time I get done with everything I have to do, I'm so tired I could care less if I do anything toward the organizing. And then learn to be flexible.
Right.
And I hope that was a blessing to someone.
Amen.